Alright, so for this video, I am doing a response to last week's video, and I don't do these type of videos where I'm responding to shit, but for the sake of what happened in last week's video, I'm gonna do a response, and this is mainly for the people who have been watching me and commented on a few of my videos. I'm assuming one of the reasons why you guys watch me is because you guys are trying to figure out your ancestry, trying to see how other people have found their indigenous ancestry. So I'm assuming you guys watch me for that particular reason. So yeah, I'm going to get right into it because the last video I did is just freaking hilarious with all these incoming comments just coming through. People swearing up and down that they know me. Like this one guy, he deleted his comments. But it was one of the funniest comments I've seen. He was just like, within 3 seconds, I can already tell that you're half black. Like, first of all, I didn't even know that I was half of anything. So for you to watch a video of somebody online that you never even met in person, haven't even had one conversation with, and yet you figured me out within 3 seconds, you must be a magician. You must be psychic. I need to get on your level, sir, because how you figured me out in 3 seconds? You must be really good in relationships. But, I don't know. Like, it was just too much going on, and yeah, I'm gonna just get right into a few things. Starting this video off with something that's not really too important, but I'm gonna mention it anyway. I don't know how the Caribbeans and like the South Americans, Mexicans found their way to this video. And yeah, like this is not a part of your history. I don't know why you guys try to insert yourself into this part of history that I was talking about. With the Caribbeans, for you guys to say things like the Caribbeans came to the United States to help liberate the blacks up here. Like what? What? That don't even make any sense. Some of y'all may have came up here to make a living. Some of y'all may have came up here to fight in wars, but the blacks up here did not need y'all help. Like, and then I'm gonna give an example because I already argued with some of y'all enough in real life, so online that's ridiculous. But to the people who have been watching me, this is some of the things that you may have experienced or will experience, because you'll have groups that will try to insert their history onto you, and it could get very confusing because this is too much going on in the space. So there was this guy who I'm still cool with to this day. He's Jamaican and he loves his Jamaican heritage. Oh my gosh. Respects to that. Like, it's only right. You love where you came from. You love who you are. But to try to insert that onto someone else is ridiculous. So basically, what we would argue about is he was saying that because of Marcus Garvey, the blacks in the United States have X, Y, and Z. Like, they learned how to open, he taught them how to open their own banks and education and loving yourself. I don't know where he was getting this from, but this is what I'm assuming he was taught. And little did he knew, he found the right one. Now, with me, I live in New York. I'm from Staten Island, and out here remains the oldest black settlement in the United States. And according to Google, that's what it says. It could be argued there could have been black settlements older than where I'm from. However, it is the last one standing because a lot of other black settlements around the U.S. was either burnt to the ground, and a lot of riots that was going on. Now, this oldest black settlement that I'm talking about is called Sandy Ground, and how I'm connected to that is my Lenape side, who always been out here before it was called Sandy Ground. So yeah, and then my Caribbean side that had moved up, well, migrated to where I live now. So that's how I'm connected to that community. But for a very long time, there's been businesses out here, farms that blacks owned. My Lenape ancestors have owned. Um, Education, all of that was going on way before Marcus Garvey had migrated to the US. Blacks out here was already doing things. So for him to try to insert that into my history, and when I was telling him this and when I was showing him certain things, he refused it. And if I'm telling you my family history and I'm showing proof of things and you're refusing it, it's just your ego is in the way. You don't want to accept that your narrative might not be accurate. And at this point, there's no need to discuss certain things because you just can't get it through your head that the Caribbeans, whatever, didn't help liberate the blacks that were already out here. Like, for an example, my ancestor, who was a descendant of the Tuscaroras and certain tribes in Virginia, she started her own church out here in Staten Island, and it's still standing. There were things going on way before Marcus Garvey had stepped foot out here. We was already educating ourselves and doing certain practices, farming on our own lands. We didn't need Caribbeans to help liberate us. Yeah, I may have fought in some wars, okay, but it wasn't much of a big contribution. Otherwise, it really would be talked about. I feel like you guys are probably just learning this because, yeah, I wasn't saying all this before. And I grew up around a lot of Caribbeans. Like, yeah, I wasn't saying all of this before. And to the Mexicans and the South Americans, I don't know what y'all think this channel is. Like, yeah, you found this one video of me talking about indigenous stuff, but I do not talk about South America, Mexico in my videos. So for y'all to come here and try to insert yourself into this history, like for instance, saying that y'all the original people of the United States, like the Mexicans, you still have to prove that you are a descendant of the indigenous people that lived in the United States. Like if you can't trace your family back to places like what is now New York or Virginia or North Carolina or Alabama or something like that, then you are not the originals of this place. Just because you look a certain way doesn't mean that your people were living here. So yeah, next is something that is really important, and a lot of you guys are not going to like what I have to say, but it is important. So for the blacks, even though that is a made up term and I don't really use it, but for the sake of this video, and everybody knows when you say black, you picture a certain particular group. So for the sake of this video, I'm gonna use the term black. But for the blacks who are claiming to be indigenous, I'm not saying that you guys aren't. I do understand where the Asian white looking indigenous people are saying. And this is one way where you can shut everybody up. It is to prove that you are from these certain tribes. You have to prove it. And a lot of the times you guys say that you are indigenous, but to be honest, a lot of y'all don't be wanting to put in the work to find the exact tribe. And I know this because I've been in this community for a while now, and I do speak to people from time to time. And there's one person that I spoke to before, she was saying how she's indigenous, her people go back to Virginia. and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh, like that's so cool. What tribe? She didn't know. And I was like, well, if you want, I can like help you figure it out because the community is not that big. Everyone knows everyone. So we could see what tribe you from. She didn't want to do all that. And yeah, because it's too much work. And to be honest, like you could say that you're indigenous. There's something if you just going by what your family said, you're Indian, um, you could say that. But it's one thing to say things and then there's another to try to take over certain things and feel like things are owed to you because of you claiming indigenous. And truth be told, it's a lot of work into this. You have to fight to get certain things back. You can't just say you're indigenous now, give me everything that's owed to me. Like the US government is not going to just give it to you like that. You got to fight for these things. And the problem is that some of y'all be coming at people who are already in tribes, and a lot of us have put the work in to find our like clans, and we know there's a big fight in this. We're not gonna just say, like, for me, if it wasn't for me finding my tribes and being enrolled in a tribe, I would not be up here talking my shit at all. I would not be up here talking, period. I would just say I would just say I'm indigenous and just keep it moving. I wouldn't be shouting out at everyone in tribes and saying a lot of rude things and saying that this, that, and the third is owed to me. Like, no, there's work that comes with this, and it's only right to put in the work because you owe it to yourself and your ancestors. Like, a lot of our ancestors had fought for things. And for instance, with my Lenape side out here, they tried to fight for a lot of things, but unfortunately, they lost a lot of battles in certain places where it was once graves of my ancestors. Now there's houses built on top and plazas built on top of it and schools. So it's a fight. It's a fight. And I can see why our ancestors eventually just gave up and just moved on. Some didn't, but a lot did because it was too much going on back then. And for you to claim indigenous before, it was dangerous because you would get harassed, you would get unalived, all of that. So for us to be in the positions that we're in today, it's only right to put in the work instead of just shouting out, oh, I'm indigenous and everything's just owed to me. That's not how it works. Shit ain't easy. For those that were telling me to look up this and look up that, look, I can look up things all day long until my head just goes bonkers on me. But if I am not connected to my tribes, then it doesn't mean much. It just means that I may know more than you or whatever. But that's about it. If I'm not connected to my tribes and not fighting for things, then it doesn't mean shit. And the whole color thing with the copper color, dark skin, whatever. I'm not saying that dark skins wasn't out here. I don't know why I gotta keep saying this. But truth be told, there was different complexions out here. I'm sorry that your ego is being bruised right now because you think that it was nothing but dark skins out here. But it was different complexions. That's why when the people from overseas came over here, they thought they was in India. In India, there's multiple complexions. So, yeah, I'm not going to go back and forth with that either. That is just ridiculous. Like, y'all would drive me mad with all of that nonsense. I ain't having it. new. And for those in the comments that were saying you're mixed, no shit. I said that I'm mixed and I'm really proud of it. There's no reason for me to hide it. My history is different from everybody else's. I'm just talking about the indigenous side of things because this is something that has been misclassified in history, with people saying that these groups is black, mulatto, white, whatever. Meanwhile, they are the original indigenous people in the United States. And I don't like when history is tainted like that. That's why I talk about it a lot in this video. And also, I call myself indigenous mix because the indigenous side of my family tree is really dominant and it's the most recent than the other groups that came out here. But I do acknowledge that I have mixed ancestry in my tree, and there's no reason for me to hide it. Like, so thanks for stating the obvious. And for the people that say things like, oh, the difference between your family and mine is your family mixed with other groups and my family didn't, because I get those comments from time to time, and I don't know, what do you expect? Like, do you expect a cookie or something because your family didn't mix? And it's so funny that you guys say that, because there's a story that was always told to kids up here from the East Coast. And I'm going to just tell a quick story about that. So a lot of our family who come from the South and all that, they've told us, be careful who you date. And we would just be like, why? And they would say, because you never know, you might be sleeping with your cousin. Now, me growing up, I was just like, no, that's not what they doing in the South. No way. And then I started going down south. And the elders was not lying about that. So when I hear certain individuals say, oh, my family don't be mixing and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I might just be sleeping with your cousins. I don't, because these counties down south, the population in certain counties is not that big. It's not that big. So it happens. I know a few. I know a few. So I'm gonna just leave it like that. Last thing I'm going to address is about the elephant in the room when it came to the video that I posted last week. And this is for a few people. So there was this one person that was leaving so many comments. Oh my gosh. I was busy at the time and I looked down at my phone and it's just a bunch of comments coming from this one person. And some YouTuber called me out on it, like, oh, why are you allowing this person to harass your subscribers, blah, 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 blah. First of all, we all grown here, and no one should be losing sleep over strangers leaving rude comments to them, because this stranger don't know them. Yeah, like, you could comment back like one or two more times, you know, but other than that, like, I was you, I would keep it pushing, because if this person's not paying your bills, if you didn't get no bad news today, if everybody in your life is still healthy and nothing bad, you didn't hear anything bad, nobody passing away, whatever, then your day hasn't been destroyed because of this one stranger who don't know you, who's commenting rude things. And secondly, I'm not going to just go back and forth with trolls in the comments. Yeah, I don't do that. And the reason why I don't really engage in the indigenous, other indigenous YouTubers, I didn't know that it was a big community on here, like an online community. I just know like about 3 YouTubers who talk about indigenous stuff, but I didn't know it was such a thing. But yeah, But the three that I've checked out, I noticed that y'all be arguing a lot. There's too much testosterone going on with that side of YouTube. There's a lot of you guys just arguing back and forth. And my gosh, I'll be damned if I start doing that, because next thing you know, I wake up 2 years later and I'm still arguing with the same people online. No, life is too precious. But I'm not gonna just straight up go ahead and just throw fire and and argue back and forth. I just like to execute things because I don't got the time. So for this person who was saying that the blacks are not the real Indians and whatnot, and this person claims that he knows the Tuscaroras and he's a Tuscarora himself. I took the initiative to figure out who this person is, because if this person knows my people, then who are you? So I've asked around and nobody knows this person. The Tuscarora community is pretty big. There's different sections. So for the person who was commenting and saying that you know the Tuscarora people, what side of the Tuscaroras do you know? Because I asked around and there's different sections. So maybe I didn't ask the right people, but yeah, so if you could just explain where you fall in this, then that would be great. That'd be great. Another thing, for you to say that the Tuscaroras wasn't black, and mind you, black is a made up term. We don't do that in the Tuscarora community. There are people in the tribe that come in various complexions, and one of the complexions is dark skin. And it's so funny. There's this guy in the tribe. So when you get involved in the tribes, you have a particular name. So my tribal name is Dancing Bear. When I got involved with all of this, I had to get used to the names because some of them were so hilarious. One of the names in the tribe, he goes by the name of Shadow. And automatically, I was like, wait, why would they call you Shadow? Because you dark skin, but I had to get used to that. So this guy in the tribe, we call him Shadow. Not because of his complexion, but that's just his name. I think Shadow Wolf or something like that. But he's dark skinned, and there's other people in the tribe who are dark skinned. So what I'm trying to say is, the people in this community, we don't do that. We do not discriminate because somebody looks a certain way. We go by proving that you are connected to this clan, and that's that. So for you to say that the blacks are not the Tuscaroras, like I said, we don't do that. You have to prove it. And although there's been a lot of fraud stuff going on, there's people who are trying to get into not only my tribe but other tribes, and they're not showing proof. They're just saying, because I'm this, I should be put in, and it's like, no, you got to show proof. And then there's some people who are stealing other people's ancestry and claiming that this is their grandparent when it's really not. So you got that going on. But I don't know, we don't do that over here. And if you can explain what side of the coin you fall on in this, that would be great. Overall, the most important thing is to block out the noise. People are going to shame you for wanting to find your indigenous ancestry, or to at least see if you have any. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see why people would get pissed off that you are branching out and trying to find who you are and where your people had came from. That's ridiculous, and it screams insecurity. So with that being said, don't listen to anybody. Listen to yourself and go off of your intuition and figure things out, because who are they to try to control you and control your mind and how you think. Like, no, I'll be damned. So, yeah, to the people who have been watching my videos, don't let nobody discourage you. Even if you are receiving like rude comments that people, trolls will find my kind of video and start saying some shit. Like, just brush it off, because this is your journey. This is not their journey. So with that being said, yeah,